Some new news on legislation affecting gold and silver. New news that really should be old news. Guess we'll take it though. There are a few fantasy cases for the use of gold and silver. One would be the apocalypse case. EMP hits, pandemic, supervolcano zombies, whatever. Just fill up your power wagon with ammo and iodine tablets and hit the road with your fold-up map and your pocket full of gold and silver coins. Brave new world. And that's the most extreme case, but another would be to directly purchase large assets. Land, a boat, a home. That one's going to feel a little closer to reality, even if it still feels a little bit far-fetched for some people. That second use case, though, just got a little bit more real. Technically, we could always do this. You could always use gold to buy things. If two people agree on value, then gold could be used to buy just about anything. And some of us have done this already, either directly or indirectly. You sell some gold to a dealer for cash, you roll that capital into the big asset. Now, I've done it twice. Down payments on properties, but there's a new development that would make this easier because you'd be able to skip that extra step. Maybe you've already seen that Florida just signed a bill into law to recognize gold and silver for payments. Now, they're not the first. We've seen something similar with Utah, with Texas, with Louisiana, and even a few others, but this one is very specific. Beginning July 1st, 2026, so next year, if the gold or silver is clearly stamped with weight, purity, and mint of origin, well, it can legally be used as payment. Now, why was I showing a Realtor.com article? Well, the idea of buying a property with gold is particularly interesting to me. I know it is for others too. Imagine paying off a mortgage or using gold as a down payment on a new home or property, or buying some land outright with gold and silver that you've just been quietly stacking in the background for years. This is a great non-doomsday use case for physical gold holdings. Outside of long-term wealth preservation or emergency use, real estate is one of the most compelling practical outlets. Now, of course, there are conditions. A seller has to be willing to take the gold or silver in payment. So this is not going to be a common thing, not anytime soon at least, but when the legal framework is there, it makes those agreements a lot easier to formalize. Now, here's where this gets more interesting though. Taxes. You'll see a lot of these articles mention sales tax exemptions. Some go further. They mention there's no capital gains taxes in that state. Well, that's because that state has no income tax. It still doesn't exempt gold or silver from federal capital gains taxes, though. At least not yet. Now, there's a growing movement pushing for federal capital gains exemptions, especially on gold and silver coins minted by the U.S. Mint. And this makes sense because if we're treating these metals more like money or like actual money, why would it be taxed like a collectible? It shouldn't be, but let's come back to that. Let's get a quick shout out to Summit Metals. They're a great place to buy gold and silver. They even have options to store it for you if that's a personal hangup. Check them out, summitmetals.com. Now, one of the interesting parts of this bill is that it doesn't specify the gold or silver has to come from the U.S. Mint. Now, I did see one article saying the gold or silver has to be pure, like those buffaloes, like this Perth Mint coin, but it just isn't true. Florida's bill states only that the gold or silver has to be clearly stamped with weight, purity, and mint of origin, and we can see all that here on the coins obverse. So Australia, 1 ounce, 9999 gold. The $100 doesn't make any difference. This coin would be treated the same as a gold buffalo from the U.S. Mint. Now, what about an American gold eagle? Is 22 karat, it's not 24 karat, so how would that work? Well, it would also work because the gold content is clearly stamped on the coin along with the mint of origin. Let me flip this around. You can see here, United States of America, and you can't just stamp this on any coin, and 1 ounce fine gold. That means 24 karat. So this allows a much wider range of gold and silver coins in this bill, and that's a big deal considering most people are going to have more than just 24 karat gold coins from the U.S. Mint. So look, the most important part to me is something that hasn't happened yet. It's the capital gains tax. Now, the more states, though, that adopt these laws that gold and silver can be used as payment, the closer we get to normalizing this as legal tender. And the argument the capital gains tax doesn't apply gains more ground. So right now, if you sell gold or silver for a gain, it's handled like collectibles, and it's supposed to be a reportable event. Now, this is something that has never made sense to me. Now, you could say that this is semi-collectible, but it doesn't make sense to tax something that has gained value primarily through the loss of value in the currency it happens to be denominated in. Well, we'd be adding to that, and it wouldn't make practical sense if we were using these coins in transactions. So maybe the new law in Florida is interesting enough for its own video. And if you're curious, the median home price in Florida is $440,000, so you would need 131 ounces of gold today to get there. Fewer probably when the bill goes into effect next year, but like I said, what comes next is a lot more interesting. So if your state is not one of the dozen with legislation making gold and silver legal tender, it might be something to look into. By the way, quick rundown of those dozen states. It's Utah, Wyoming, Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Arizona, Arkansas, West Virginia, Tennessee, Missouri, Idaho, and now Florida. We want all states to pass these bills. Ultimately, it should be passed at the federal level, but each new state pushes that conversation forward as more states begin to treat gold and silver like legal tender, while the argument that capital gains taxes shouldn't apply gains a lot more legitimacy. Now, if you live in the UK, you already have this, at least for gold and silver from the Royal Mint. But anywhere that doesn't have CGT exemptions, if you use gold to buy a home or land directly, well, there's no sale of the gold or silver to report. Now, I'm not giving tax advice here, but you would be exchanging one asset for another. You're not realizing a nominal gain by selling gold to a dealer first, so I have to think that's one more angle to the argument. Semantics maybe, but as the laws hit the books and these sales become more commonplace, you can imagine where this goes. First off, it further normalizes gold and silver. That's a good thing. And second, though, it lays the groundwork for the CGT exemption argument. Now, thinking out loud here, if you buy a house for 131 ounces of gold, is there really a gain on that gold at all? I don't know. I don't do taxes for a living, but the law in those states says that nobody can tell you that isn't a legitimate transaction. So good work, Florida. I'm not shopping for homes there yet, but who knows? Maybe I'll pack up the apocalypse rig and come check out some open houses. I'm only afraid that the median home price in the places that I'd really like to be might cost more than that 131 ounces of gold can buy. So let's call it good there. Let us know what you think of these new laws. Well, they're not all new. I guess Utah did this back in 2011. So if you live in one of those states that haven't passed a law like this, you know what to do. Just call your reps, especially if you're from South Carolina. I like your weather the best. Regardless, though, hit us up in the comments. Let us know what you think. And then while you're there, be sure to hit that like button if you found any of this interesting. Be sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on if you want to hear more on the topic. And if you're still here, thanks again for watching. I always appreciate your time. Take care.